and welcome back to more of the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve, where I don't know what's happening anymore. We have flown so far off the rails. We are in completely insane territory. Van Zieks is the defendant, Gregson is the victim, and freaking Kazuma Asogi from the first goddamn... he died in chapter... in case 2 of the first game, came back in chapter 3 of this... he's weird... I don't know what's happening anymore. Anything, at this point, like I said yesterday, anything goes. Nothing's off the table. The lead prosecutor is the defendant. The lead detective is the victim, and our best friend since first case of the first game is the opposing prosecutor. I don't know what's happening anymore, but you know what? I'm here for it. This is case 4. I don't know how the hell they're gonna top this. I don't know what to expect. I don't know what's waiting for us. So let's just stop talking and get into it. November 2nd, 8:56 a.m., the Old Bailey, defendant's antechamber. Here we go. There's that old familiar feeling again. The crushing pressure of this historic courthouse. Actually, no, it's a little different today. There's an even more menacing tension in the air. There is a menacing tension in the air here today, isn't there? I suppose. Yes, I think so. Well, there's your solution, or there's your answer. It can only be the result of the menacing appearance of the defendant. A little more courtesy, if you please. Oh my! I do apologize! However, you're certainly not mistaken that this trial is far from ordinary. What do you mean? I'm not privy to the details. However, I understand that no jury has been selected. Oh? A trial without a jury. This is gonna be a closed case trial, isn't it? This is gonna be just like 10 years ago. It's gonna be a closed circuit, closed case. No one's gonna know anything, right? That's just a trial. Yep. A closed court. Ah, great. Good morning, my dear fellows. What can I screw up today? Just tell me and point me in the direction of something that's working, and I'll break it. Mr. Sholmes, have you made note of my hair, Mr. Naruhodo? An outright victory for science, you must agree. To be perfectly honest, so much happened yesterday that, well, I completely forgot about your little hair problem. Yeah, it's honestly, that's accurate. We came back to Sholmes' suite, and his hair was blue, and I went on a big thing. It was like, it's blue now? You changed it to blue? And I'm like, and what happens now? Like, what is happening anymore? Only to then, 5 seconds later, get slammed with the reveal that Gregson's dead, and then seconds after that gets slammed with the reveal that Van Zieks is the freaking defendant, only to then, like 10 minutes later, get the reveal that freaking Kazuma is gonna be the prosecutor. And this game, I'm just like, guys, can we slow down a bit? Can we roll it back a little bit? I think you're going a little too fast for me. I can't. So yeah, I did forget about his little hair problem. There was a point in time when that was the most serious thing we had to deal with. And now all of a sudden, it's like the least significant thing in the world, despite the fact that the red hair club is apparently going to be pivotal for some reason. Ha! What to one man is a little hair problem, is to another a day of drinking dubious potion after dubious potion. You have no idea how my stomach ails me this morning. Oh dear, how awful for you. Yeah, we didn't need to know that, Sholmes. I'm afraid you only have yourself to blame, Mr. Sholmes. And good morning to you, Mr. Reaper. I'm delighted to see you looking so full of vim. And I see London's celebrated Great Detective is as active as ever. Oh, you exaggerate, my dear fellow. Compared to my paltry engagements with a few trivial cases, the Reaper's overbearing presence is a far greater deterrent to the black roots of crime in our capital. And whilst I may not agree with your methods, there is at least one point on which I would readily commend you. What an honor, and that would be your eye for a good lawyer, sir. Mr. Sholmes! After all, behind this lawyer there is a very great mind. My own. No, what are you trying to say? I wish only to say that you should be prepared for quite a trial, Mr. Reaper. Who? Jean, I'm guessing? Yeah, I figured as much. Although she doesn't usually apologize for barging in places. Gina! What's that on her arm? It's a mourning band, I suppose. Father! Shouldn't you be at the symposium? Oh, I didn't even notice. Yeah, I literally did not even notice you were there. My eyes were entirely fixated on Gina and her armband. I didn't even see you there. I'm like, you did not exist in my world until this exact second. Which is probably for the best. It's been postponed, so I have some free time. I decided to come along with the police inspector to see our country's up-and-coming student in action. Uh-huh. I shall be very interested to see the fruits of your studies over the past year. Well, it's an honor to have you here. Let's hope there are some fruits to see. Hey there, Gina.
Otto,
Oh, yes, Gina?
why'd you agree to this, eh? Why'd you take him on?
Because we believe he's innocent.
This Reaper bloke, everyone says it was him what killed the boss.
Yeah, well, this won't be the first time that everyone says a thing, and it turns out that just because everyone says a thing doesn't necessarily mean that thing is correct. I'm sorry, Gina, but I just don't believe that.
Well, if it weren't him, who was it?
You leave that to us. I don't know that yet.
I don't care who calls him what. The Reaper's just a name. He's just a person at the end of the day. And if it turns out that it was him what killed the boss, then God help him.
Yeah, he's right. Fiery eyes indeed. Yes, the culprit deserves every ounce of your loathing.
Eh?
At least, that may be some solace to the deceased. Hatless Gina is not something that I'm used to seeing, I gotta be honest. It's kinda jarring, but also really powerful to see. It's such a small thing. It's amazing how the smallest of things can mean so much if you know what you're doing as a writer. What? Nothing.
Please, Otto. Get whoever did this for the boss.
not the eyes. Is it just me, or are they like doubling down and trying to melt me with the eyes in recent episodes?
I ain't feeling this useless, but there's nothing I can do. So you gotta find who done this and make the wretch pay.
Counsel for the defense and the defendant. Court will begin in session shortly. Make your way into the courtroom at once, please.
Alright then, here we go.
It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. Lord Van Zeeks.
Okay, so I have some thoughts. First things first. The character work for Gina, I know I keep like beating a dead horse with this, but I am so impressed by their ability to take such a one-off character in case 3 of the first game and just completely transform her development by the end of this game. It's really phenomenal what they've been able to accomplish with her character and how much I actually care about her and just seeing the conviction and the emotion in her face. That's awesome. Also, the fact that there's no jury for today. On the one hand, disappointing we won't get any summation examination. However, that negative is outweighed by 2 major positives, being that A, it ties in very nicely with the original Professor case, and B, we don't have to worry about the jury being rigged against somebody today. Yay! For once, we don't have to worry about the jury being rigged with people who are imperative to the case. So that's great. One who lost his treasured brother to a mass murderer. One who lost his treasured father in a foreign court of law. And one who lost the man who helped to escape destitution. All that misfortune, all that pain, on course to collide headlong in this trial. It's time to shine a light on all these dark events. While Sholmes does f*** all. And whatever truth is revealed, we're going to have to look it straight in the eye. Yeah, could you set the stakes any higher today? Like, the insane amount of character work that's built up throughout all the parties involved in this case, throughout the game so far, throughout both games. Could you have set the stakes any higher? Hey there, all 4 people in this courtroom. I mean, I know there's more than 4, but you get what I mean. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. We are here to conduct the fair and just trial of the defendant, Barrett von Zeeks. Counsels for the defense and prosecution, are you ready to begin? The defense is oh, never mind. I guess there are. Okay, I thought that it was supposed to be a closed trial like it was, because I assumed that because there was no jury, it would also be a closed trial like it was previously. But no, but you can still see people in the gallery there. So never mind. The defense is ready, my lord. That is so unnerving. Like, not quite as unnerving as seeing Phoenix stand at the prosecutor's bench, or the plaintiff's bench, in Tournament Revolution, Spirit of Justice, but you're getting up there. The prosecution is more than ready.
Oh, Kazuma-sama.
I've been wishing to see you in court again for so long, it feels. But I never pictured it happening like this. Yeah, join the club, neither did any of us. I never thought I'd be facing you behind the prosecution's bench.
The so-called Reaper of the Bailey has been a scourge like no other, undermining Her Majesty's justice system. Today, we must uncover the truth behind this scourge.
In other words, this trial is going to be a lot more far-reaching than Inspector Gregson's murder.
The truths revealed by these proceedings may have unpredictable repercussions through the judiciary. Accordingly, they are to be conducted as a closed trial, with no members...
you guys didn't look behind you, did you?
By Her Majesty's direct orders.
Do you guys see the people back there? Did you forget about them? How will that work, my lord?
The burden of all arbitration and adjudication falls on my shoulders. Therefore, as you will see, the juror's bench shall remain vacant today.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter, because if you want a close trial, then you might want to tell the people in the gallery to get out. You can clearly see them all back there.
If members of the public are present, might I ask...
Okay, I was about to say, okay, I'm glad they're going to address it, because I was about to be like, wait, how do you plan on reconciling that level of inconsistency?
They are members of the judiciary, here to witness proceedings and ensure an equitable trial.
Okay, so that makes more sense. Members of the judiciary.
Oh my, this is a very unusual trial already.
There is, of course, another unprecedented aspect to these proceedings on which I must elaborate. The counsels for the prosecution and defense are both aliens of Great Britain.
I believe it takes an outsider to see the truth sometimes, and as I stand here in this courtroom now, I'm quite certain. This is the reason why I had to come to Britain. By the way, I know that my voice doesn't in any way match up with what Kazuma's actual voice sounds like. I'm fully cognizant of that. But I voiced him before I knew what he sounded like, so I just kept it consistent. So, yeah. Kazuma!
Very well. Let us commence proceedings. Prosecutor Asogi.
That's okay. That sounds really weird.
Your opening statement, if you please.
Certainly, my lord. The incident took place on the 1st of November, just after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. The location was a building of flats on Fresno Street on the outskirts of the city. The victim's body was discovered there in an old single-room rental property.
Yes, Inspector Tobias Gregson, a name known very well indeed to this court. He ate fish and chips every day and never ran out, not least for his miraculous resolution of one of this country's grimest cases 10 years ago.
The Professor case.
How sure are you about the time of the incident? Several witnesses on the street outside heard the gunshot and all have reported at the same time. Yes, that's what Gina told us too. There were a number of witnesses. I have here a plan of the room. The victim was found curled up in one corner. It's believed that he was shot from the front at point-blank range and died instantly.
How has the range been determined?
There were scorch marks around the entry wound. Such marks are caused by the gunpowder used to fire the bullet. But powder hot enough to leave scorch marks is only ejected a few inches beyond the end of the barrel. In other words, it only happens when the target is at point-blank range. Hey, gunpowder burn. You know that thing that they just forgot existed in Apollo Justice Ace Attorney? Because thus allowing Turnabout Corner to happen in the first place? Yeah, that was fun. What a great game.
I see, yes. Thank you for the detailed explanation, counsel.
Okay, well, you know the drill. Read the autopsy report, make sure we're not missing anything. Victim was shot in the chest at close range to the front, resulting in instant death. Scorch marks point of entry, bullet to the body from behind. Caliber of the gun used matches out of standard issue. Firearms from the judiciary. Okay, so nothing we didn't already know. The murder weapon found lying beside the victim.
And have you managed to ascertain the owner of this firearm?
No, my lord, not conclusively.
Bravo, Kazuma-sama, for not trying to use the gun as evidence when its provenance can't be proven.
Furthermore, my lord, as I've explained, the revolver was fired at extremely close range. The bullet passed through the victim and struck the wall behind him. There was a candelabrum mounted on that wall, and the tip of one of the candles in it was found to have been blown up by the projectile. Okay, yeah, but you're also failing to notice that, like, oh, I didn't want to skip that. Okay, so the one on the right's the only candle that's still upstanding, whereas the two on the left are still perfectly, or were broken. So it hit two and not, we noticed it too, didn't we? Yes, that's right.
Thank you for the thorough report, counsel. The setting of the crime is clear to me. You will submit the plan of the crime scene as evidence, please.
As you wish, my lord. Crime scene floor plan entered into the court record.
Is this Fresno Street room Inspector Gregson's private abode?
No, my lord. That room is rented to a Mr. Hugh Boone, but there is precious little furniture inside, and it is generally in a poor state of repair.
So what on earth was Gregson even doing there? Presumably he was investigating some case or other.
When a policeman was informed of the gunshot from the witnesses and rushed to the scene, he found only the deceased inspector and the accused standing alongside holding the revolver. The attending officer arrested the accused on the spot.
So, the details of the case are clear.
In that case, the prosecution would like to call its first witness.
A name, please, counsel.
Naturally, the accused himself, okay?
Lord Van Zeeks?
As a prosecutor, he believes in the oath of office he's taken and will be compelled to tell the truth.
Very well. Let the defendant take the witness stand.
Been a while since we've summoned our own defendant to the stand. So, witness, state your name and occupation for the court. Beric von Zeeks, Old Bailey prosecutor.
I presume, Lord Van Zeeks, that you heard Prosecutor Asogi's opening précis?
I did.
It is alleged that you were found at the scene of the crime, and that you were arrested by the arriving police officer. Can you confirm this?
Yes, my lord. Then I'm sure the court would like to hear you explain some things away. Namely, why you were there in the room on Fresno Street at the time in question, and what exactly took place. I intend to explain away nothing. I will simply tell the truth.
I must say, Lord Van Zeeks, I never imagined this day would come. Or rather, I didn't want to imagine it would come, but since you became known as the Reaper, a part of me has been dreading it. Your formal testimony then, witness?
Okay, I don't even... This is insanity. Like, we haven't had this... this shouldn't really have an impact on me, because... Like, this is the same this is a reaction on caliber with when I played the first game, and we were defending Edgeworth in court. But at least then it was a prosecutor who we'd heard of, but hadn't met prior to that point. And then the victim was someone we didn't know. But this time, we knew the victim, we know the prosecutor, and we know the defendant very, very closely. So, this is like next level stuff. I was investigating Gregson, and my inquiries had led me to that address. When I first entered the room that day, it was dark inside and I saw no one. A moment later, I heard the gunshot. I spun around and saw the revolver on the floor. Just as I picked the firearm up to examine it, the door flew open and I heard a man scream. It was only then that the body of Inspector Gregson appeared before me. That testimony was the whole truth? It was. So, you heard a shot being fired in a room with no living occupants, and moments later a corpse somehow appeared before your eyes, is that it? You're right. You haven't explained anything away. In fact, that would barely qualify as an excuse. I thought you were my mute apprentice. Yet it turns out you have a way with words, Prosecutor Asogi.
It would appear to be a singular tale indeed.
Singular isn't the word. It's laughable.
What's going on to Kazuma? He's not behaving like himself at all.
Very well, then. Counsel, you may begin your cross-examination.
Yes, my lord. Okay. Well, as is tradition at this point, don't really have any blatant contradictions, so my only recourse here is just to press everything until something comes up.
Objection.
Oh, what now? Surely the court has heard enough. Yeah, so big surprise, pressing his statements didn't get us anywhere at all. We didn't learn anything new. I mean, we know he's investigating him for some reason, but he doesn't want to tell us why. We know that the gun that he found in the room probably is the one that, well, no, definitely is the one that fired the shot, because when he picked it up, it was cold, so we knew the bullet didn't come from that gun because it hadn't been fired. And other than that, we don't know anything other than what he told us in his testimony, so that didn't get us anywhere, but apparently Kazuma has gotten tired of waiting for things to progress. My lord, the cross-examination has clearly revealed that the accused, Beric von Zeeks, is lying on multiple fronts.
What is that supposed to mean?
Good gracious, counsel. The defendant is lying, you say?
In his testimony just now, he claims that he failed to notice the victim's body because the room was dark. That's correct. No, that's impossible. As proven by this candelabrum. How does that prove anything? If you examine the tip of the... I think you meant to say if you examine the tip of the long candle there, you can see it has been blown off by a powerful impact.
One would assume that the projectiles from the firearm struck the candle.
The problem comes when you consider the other two candles, which are clearly of a different length.
Yes, I can see that only the candle that appears to have been struck by that bullet is long.
We could reasonably expect someone to have lit all 3 candles together, which begs the question of why only one has ended up longer than the others.
That must be because that particular candle was extinguished when the others were still burning. Ah!
That's right. When the candle was hit by the bullet, it obviously went out. But the other 2 candles would still have been burning, so the fact is, the victim's body would have been illuminated by the light still thrown by the candelabrum, and the accused claim that he couldn't see the body clearly contradicts those facts. Oh. And now to the next lie.
There's more?
The accused also claims to never to have visited the scene of the crime before. That's the truth. In that almost empty room, the police discovered something very unusual. A board covered from top to bottom in police documents and newspaper cuttings.
Yes, that's right. We saw it too.
It goes without saying that the contents of the police documents cannot be divulged. However, they included a number of reports from various historical cases, the oldest of which was from 10 years ago.
10 years ago? This is starting to sound familiar.
And there is a common thread linking all the documents on that board.
Indeed? What is this common thread, Counsel?
They all relate to cases prosecuted in court by Barak von Zeeks.
All of them?
And furthermore, all those cases are ones in which the defendant was acquitted.
Good lord!
Interestingly, none of those defendants are alive today because all of them have been sent to their graves by the Reaper.
Ah! Oh no!
I mean, Humpty Dumpty was pushed by Woody. In short, that dingy little room is the Reaper's secret hideout, and no one in this game can agree on who actually lives there. Are we just forgetting the fact that there's a picture on the damn table of freaking Mrs. Vigil? Is no one going to acknowledge this? Everyone's like, oh, it's Gregson's hideout. Nah, it's Reaper's hideout. Is anyone going to pay attention to the big picture on the table? No one? Okay.
The Reaper's hideout?
And yet the Reaper would claim never to have been to his own secret hideout. No one would believe that. No, the truth is, we've been looking at this backwards.
Backwards? Explain, Counsel.
Inspector Gregson was investigating the identity of the Reaper. When he discovered the location of the man's secret hideout, he was killed. As I'm sure everyone can imagine, by the Reaper's hand.
What? Oh boy, howdy.
No?
Order! Very well. I hereby state the current opinion of the court. Barak von Zeeks is an outstanding prosecutor who has rendered great service to his country. However, it is with deep regret that I must concur with Prosecutor Asogi's contention that the defendant's testimony exhibits a number of stark inconsistencies with the known facts.
All I have done is state the truth as I know it.
Kazuma's done a brilliant job as ever. He's drawing on his experience as a defense attorney to build his prosecution case. And it's formidable. Is it though? I mean, we kind of have reason to, very, very strong reason to believe that the whole thing of, oh, it's his secret hideout is kind of bullshit.
Counsel, you will submit the board that you just showed the court as evidence. I believe it to be fundamental in establishing the facts surrounding the Reaper's existence.
Okay, so all we have to do is figure out, find something on that board that proves that it doesn't have anything to do with him. Thank you, my lord. The notice board is mentioned in the court record. And now, the prosecution would like to call new witnesses to the stand. Well, no, you're not going to do that. First, we're going to check this thing out. Okay, so, also, it's covered in notes articles relating to victims of the Reaper of the Bailey. Do you think he's a narcissist? Because why would he be... Like, this is the board that you have when you're trying to solve a conspiracy. Not when your conspiracy is the thing that you're trying... Like, he wouldn't be trying to solve his own conspiracy, so there wouldn't be a point to having... Hey there, buddy. What are you doing?
Oh, what's this? This is Naruto, look! Oh yes, it's a smudge of some kind. In fact, it was just like a handprint. And the color, that's blood, isn't it? Oh dear, how disturbing.
Okay, so that wasn't quite what I was hoping to get out of this, but I mean, I think the fact that it just is focused on him by itself, like, what reason would he have to have, because like I said, this is the board that you have when you're trying to, you know that clip I used in Danganronpa 3 of the guy walking toward, I think it's from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where he just walks towards this wall of like a conspiracy theory thing? That's what this reminds me of, is that this is the thing you use when you're trying to solve a mystery, but if you believe he's the Reaper, he wouldn't have any reason to try to solve his own, this wouldn't, I don't know about this one. I don't know about this one, buddy. Okay, well,
let's hear the new witnesses, I guess. Witnesses who saw events unfold in the day in question.
They were mentioned in the previous testimony too, if you remember.
Yes, the street setters who heard the gunshot and went running into the room.
Very well. Lead the witnesses in. The defendant may step down from the witness stand.
Certainly, my lord. Oh, what the... hey there, buddy. Haven't seen you in a while. So, witnesses, state your names and occupations for the court. What the hell is going on with your lip?
Names? We don't use names. Far too fancy for the likes of us.
And we have Little Red Riding Hood, I hear.
We're just free and easy, sell what we like, live where we want to live. I give them all vacant stares. They will walk down fresh and we spin a few words into a burst of them.
Haven't seen you since Case 3 of the first game.
Ah. Well, I'm right in assuming that all three of you make your living by selling wares on the street.
Yeah, everyone calls me gossip.
Everyone calls you gossip. Oh, okay.
I sell jaunty little tidbits to passers-by, you know.
Jaunty little tidbits.
Got an absolute smasher for you, sir. Whatever you're getting it is. 6 is the price, not a penny less.
Wait, you're actually trying to sell it to me now?
Oh, come on, sir. Don't tell me you're not interested.
Try the man.
Give him the money and see what it is.
Buy them, okay.
Wait, what? Really? What? Really? We have to pay? We have to pay for testimony? I didn't realize we were playing a game made by EA with the way of microtransactions mid testimony. This witness testimony is brought to you by EA, but you can't actually get the testimony unless you pay the microtransactions. You gotta put $1 in a slot to keep hearing what he has to say. Really? Oh, okay.
Just between us, a young couple on Slate Street have just had twins.
Great. How does that affect my life at all? What was the point? Is that it?
No, that's not it. It's gossip, isn't it? It wants to spread. But that bit's up to you and your mouth, of course. I've got more, you know. One of the juicy one. 6 a piece of this.
Wait, you useless! You absolutely useless human being! I thought... silly me. I did that thing where I give more credit to the people than they actually deserve. It's like... I thought this man was like, oh yeah, I'll testify if you pay me first. I'm like, okay, this is just dumb, but fine. I'll submit to the EA overlords and put $1 in a slot to keep playing the game that I paid money for in the first place to play. But no, it just gave me some random tidbit about some couple who's having kids apparently. Great, whoop-de-doo. Now, I'm just checking around here. Who the hell gives a shit? Who asked you? Well, I don't... Okay. Great job. I am curious, yes, about what's going on just under that fat bottom lip of yours. Namely that unusual bruise or whatever it is that's poking off under your collar.
What about the next witness, then? What name do you go by and what do you sell?
Me? I'm Venus. That's what everyone calls me. Funny, isn't it?
I sell these lovely little fireworks to all those local school kids. Oh, yeah, selling fireworks to school kids. What? You lit fireworks in a... See, this is how accidents happen. Selling fireworks to school kids, yeah. Yeah, remember what happened in the first Toy Story movie? Yeah, what could possibly go wrong with this ingenious plan? You weren't exaggerating with a little. Did it actually sell? Oh yeah, the second years can't get enough of my Venus firecrackers, especially when I tell them that if they get 100, they can blow up the whole school. Buy 99 firecrackers and the 100th one is free.
Not the most savory idea of ideas, young lady.
Well, what do you say then, eh? Who would a pirate with 6 for a pop?
I swear to God, if you make me buy the goddamn fireworks. Wait, what? You want me to buy one?
Tell you what, I'll let you in a little secret. If you get 100 of them, you could blow up the whole courtroom.
It's not we're not playing Dual Destinies. It's not time for that yet. Try the woman. Give the money to try. What? Why does everyone want me to buy things? Use your own money. Get your own wallet out. You pay the woman to buy freaking fireworks. Why do I have to? Wait. Okay, number one, why do I have to be the one to pay for the fireworks? Number two, why are we buying fireworks? Who cares? I don't want to blow up the court. I don't want to blow up the damn courtroom. Why are we doing this?
pay the woman couch. So,
I mean, I won't deny it's funny that everyone keeps telling me to buy things, but why? What is this gonna do? What is the point? I don't want a firework. What do you want to carry Patty my ass? What did I carry Patty? What do you want to Katy Perry my ass? What are we doing here? And there's been nothing little about the punishment if I blew up the Old Bailey either. Oh! It's part of our evidence now. Okay. All right. So is it good? Let me guess. Is it going to be that this has been this is the actual noise that he heard? Was the firecracker going off and not a gunshot? Because that would make sense, right? Because he picked up the gun and it was cold. So he full on turnabout goodbye style to simulate the sound of a gunshot. The firecracker was what was used to draw the attention, and then the body was dropped there to count. Yeah, that's probably where we're going with this. Because if not, it would be really silly for us to have just bought fireworks for no reason. And the last, I swear to God, if you make me buy a third thing. What does this guy sell?
I'm a thinker, me. He think all sorts of thoughts.
Okay, who are you, Dr. Seuss? Oh, the things you can think and all that?
Because I stand there on the street, watching the world go on about me. They call me the
Observator.
Get out of it, old man. Everyone calls you sandwich.
If you make me buy a goddamn sandwich from the man. If you make me buy a sandwich from the man. So, you don't actually sell anything?
Problem shared is a problem halved, as they say. I give advice, I do, and think what it means. I don't actually sell anything, though, come to think of it.
Pity. No more purchases today, please.
well, we have quite a cast here, it seems.
So, just to be clear, the names of our witnesses are Venus, Gossip, and Sandwich. What? Did a kindergartner assemble this list after he went to science class, ate lunch, and then talked about the latest rumors circulating in the classroom? How did these? Okay.
They conduct their business on Fresno Street from morning till night, my lord, and they're always in the same place, directly adjacent to the crime scene.
Wanna go winky dink?
I see, and thus they heard the gunshot, I suppose. Not only that, but they very bravely ran inside to see what was going on and witness the crime.
Well, I'll be beggared, I thought, just between us.
Venus de Milo, what am I to do? What a terrible thing I saw.
Alright, Little Red Riding Hood. Although I must say, the red cloak is also giving me a spell of vibes from the crossover.
Well, what I think is, all what we see is light and shadow, but playing with our eyes. Is any of it real?
Very well. The court will hear the formal testimony of these three witnesses now. You will describe in detail what you witnessed and heard at the time of the incident.
No, I gotta be honest, I thought we were gonna be hearing testimony from the Redheaded Club. Also, I should probably actually check the fireworks to see if there's anything askew going on here. What do we have? Can I have anything out of place? Is there anything I can examine on this? Okay, I can examine this.
Have you had an idea, Mr. Naruhodo? You're staring at the end of the string of fireworks.
Sorry, it's just that it's the Venus special. I was wondering what 600 pence worth of fireworks would sound like.
Shall we find out?
What? But, she said it could blow up the courtroom. Alright, that was a fairly sizable bang. My ears are still ringing, Mr.
Naruhodo. It sounded almost exactly like...
Yeah, it goes off like a gunshot. Yeah, okay, that's where we're headed with this. We're going full-on turnabout goodbyes here is what's happening here. Okay.
We shot the whole thing from start to finish, we did. Everything from the moment they went in the building.
It was less than a minute after the Reaper had gone inside that we all heard a big bang.
It seems to me that quick to talk is quick to walk. Gossip couldn't wait to go and see what happened. I ran into the room and there he was, the Reaper, gun in hand, standing over the dead body.
I was scared half to death, me, so I ran out to find a copper.
If these witnesses were there the whole day and saw everything, who did they see going inside the building?
Only the victim, Inspector Gregson, and the accused, Barrick von Zooks.
I've seen pictures of that Reaper in the paper. I know what he looks like. And just between us, folk love stories like this. I made myself tell you some already.
But wait, the room was just one of several flats in the building. Someone from another flat could have done it.
All those flats on Fresno Street are unoccupied.
Of course they are. They're small, damp, dirty, and expensive to boot.
The room in which the inspector was found is the only property in the building that's currently leased.
And we know the leaseholder's name, don't we? It's Hugh Boone.
The testimony the court has just heard would appear to leave little room for doubt. It's becoming increasingly difficult to see how anyone other than the defendant could have committed the crime.
No!
Thank you for your candor, my lord.
Counsel for the defense, you may proceed to cross-examine the witness.
Yes, my lord. In a closed court like this without a jury, the judge is the only person who matters. I have to break down this testimony. Somehow.
Well, again, I mean, I have a feeling I know how exactly this came about with the whole, you know, what the source of the noise was. But in terms of getting to that point, I guess we'll start pressing for more information. Let's see where it gets us. When you say they, who do you mean exactly? Inspector Gregson and the defendant, Lord Van Zeeks?
I suppose so. Like of us don't know the names of the high and mighty, but I'll tell you one thing. It was the old Reaper that went in last, that's for sure and certain.
Just behind Inspector Gregson? Did they arrive at the same time as each other?
No, not at all. The first fella must have gone inside a good 15 minutes before we heard that gunshot.
The victim arrived 15 minutes before. Are you sure about that?
Am I sure? Does it seem likely that I had forgotten a fella with bright red hair like that, does it?
Okay, so Gregson was wearing red hair?
Yeah, his hair really were red, weren't it? Redder than my flaming fireworks, even.
That fiery red mop still burnt the inside of my eyelids, it is.
Wait a minute. You're saying that the man was a redhead?
Weren't you listening, chum? Aye, he was a redhead.
Inspector Gregson's hair isn't red. Not by interesting imagination.
Yeah, but we did find... That's the thing. We found the flame red wig, and we presume belongs to Inspector Gregson, but now I'm starting to, like, if my theory holds up, which is that, because the only way that my theory works is that the gunshot, like, the fireworks went off as a means of drawing attention to the building to cause someone to come running inside, and then the body was somehow surreptitiously either dropped from the ceiling or popped from the floor below into the room to make it look like he had done it, which means that whoever actually went into the room wasn't Gregson, but was someone else, probably one of the two red-headed club members from the first episode of this case. So that's probably where we're going with that one. But I guess let's wait and see.
It seems likely that the person you saw wasn't, in fact, Inspector Gregson at all, but some other third party.
No, I had to break it to you, but the witnesses are correct.
What?
Just have a look at this photograph of the victim taken at the scene.
Yes, that's
Inspector Gregson, all right.
And a red hairpiece. Ah, of course. We saw one on the floor when we investigated the scene, didn't we?
Yes, because it's impossible to put a hairpiece on a corpse after the person has died. That can't happen. That's just silly. So then why would he have been wearing something like that?
The color does seem to suit the man, one might say. The photograph will be submitted as evidence, please, counsel.
Photograph of the victim has been entered into the court record. And what became of that trunk that the red-headed victim was supposedly carrying? I was informed that no trunk was found at the scene. So it just disappeared?
What? Do you expect us to have been watching the building every second, do you?
Well, I mean, if you're supposed to be reliable witnesses to this crime, I'd have thought you'd have had some kind of information about this, but I suppose not. Okay. Moving on. You're not useful. Do you have anything else to say? Ren in the room where Sterry was, Reaper gun in hand standard. Okay, be very, very specific, please. So then you were the first person to arrive on the scene, is that right?
There I was, kicked the door open like a professional I did, and yelled out, "What's going off here?"
Lord Francis claims all he heard was a man's scream, though.
And was it dark inside the room?
No, not dark at all. There were candles burning on the wall.
Really?
And there was a fella collapsed on the floor. Just between us, it's the first thing I noticed when I got inside.
Ah, I see. Even though Lord Van Zees claims to not have seen any such lights on the wall.
The next thing I noticed was someone standing right beside the body.
The accused, Beric Von Zeeks.
That's right, the pale-faced Reaper himself. I was a little shocked, I won't deny it, but I'm no lily-livered coward. I stood my ground and gave that Reaper a cold, hard stare myself.
Hey, Sandwich. Can't believe that's your name. You got something to say?
Excuse me.
Do you have something to add, Mr. Sandwich? Mr. Sandwich.
There's really nothing to me. Empty in the head I am, just 2 slices with no middle. So I don't know what you could have wanted with me.
I think that maybe you just remembered something, having heard Mr. Gospel's latest statement, I mean.
what I think is we're all nothings, really. We try to dress ourselves up as something else, but at the end of the day, we're all just street sellers.
Identify you, sandwich. Keep your trap shut now. Unless you want us to make you into a real sandwich.
When he saw the Reaper, he fell clean over on his backside.
That's it.
Oh, you rotten beggar. I told you to keep that a secret.
He screamed, he did. Screamed and scrambled off on all fours. That's all I wanted to say.
Mr. Gossip, is this true?
The floor was dead slippery, that's why. Planted my head in a filly pool of blood, didn't I? Yuck.
Wait, head or hand? Okay, my brain read that as head first time, but no, he said hand. He said hand. He said he planted his hand, if I can get to the thing, his hand in a pool of blood. Well, isn't that interesting? Because if that were the case, seems likely that you would be the one to leave this marking on the board. But the problem there is that would mean that this board wouldn't be standing upright. It would be tilted on its side, kinda like this. But this is not how it was found. It was found like this, which means that it was moved. How very interesting.
But listen here, even when I was sprawling on the floor, I still keep giving that Reaper a cold hard stare. Don't you forget it.
Let's just go back a little. Did you say you got blood on your hand?
I did. Happens to the best of us at times, doesn't it? So I was scared, so I slipped over. We can keep it just between us, can't we?
No, Mr. Gossip. I'm going to have to ask you to add that information to your formal testimony.
Oh, if I must.
The witness will amend the testimony to include the aforementioned details at once.
Okay, so slipped over, got blood in your hand, quickly wiped it off on the floor. Yeah, you know what else happened in regards to that blood stain?
Objection.
So you wiped off the blood from your hand on the floor of the room. Are you quite sure about that?
Well, what else do you expect me to have done, eh? Does it really matter?
The police found no such handprint on the floor during their investigations. Yeah, but they wouldn't have found it there. They would have found it on the floorboard, which means it would have had to have been moved. If you listen, you'll find out, Prosecutor Asogi. Certainly, there was no bloody handprint found on the floor. What are you trying to say? There was a handprint in blood left very clearly at the scene. On the back of this notice board.
Yes, indeed. Indisputably a handprint in the distinctive color of blood.
You're dead right. That's my right hand. I can know it anywhere.
I would hope you would, yes. Hot, actual hero is what his board says. The witness very definitely testified that he wiped his hand on the floor. Any handprints on the back of the board are irrelevant. Not if the board itself had fallen over onto the floor. In that case, it's quite possible for the witness's handprint to have ended up there. Just look at the floor plan of the room. The notice board was in the opposite corner of the room to the victim, and in an upright position. Even if it had somehow been toppled and was lying on the floor at the time, it would have been a considerable distance from the body. Yeah, all that means is that it had been moved. It would obviously have had to been moved one way or another. In other words, the defense's assertion is contradictory. Yes, it is. There's a very definite contradiction here, for which there must be a reason.
I take it that you formulated a proper hypothesis, counsel, regarding this apparent discrepancy between the witness's account and the handprint found at the scene.
I have, my lord. The discrepancy between the board moving. Obviously, it would have had to have moved. The real contradiction here is the handprint itself, not where it was found. As the court can see, it's upside down.
Good gracious, so it is. If the witness has put his hand against the board, the finger should be pointing upwards.
What does that tell us? It tells us one simple fact. When this handprint was made, the board must have been lying on the floor as I previously suggested, which means that after the incident, it must have been moved. Yeah, I mean, that was clear to me from the outset. You're claiming that somebody moved the notice board after the shooting? Then tell the court who! I don't know that yet, but the point is, when you consider all the testimony we've heard so far, we can now be very clear on one point.
And that would be?
The position of the notice board at the time of the incident, my lord.
So, Counsel, I must ask you to clarify your assertion for the court. At the time of the incident, where do you maintain the notice board was situated?
It would have had to be right here. The only place it could possibly be is right here. It's the only thing that makes sense. This is the only possible location.
Immediately adjacent to the doorway?
If the court would think back to the testimony given by the defendant earlier, he said that when he entered the room it was dark and he couldn't see the body.
Back?
If the notice board had been here, the body would have been completely hidden from view, and the light from the candles would have been blocked, making the room appear darker. But the accused also claims that the victim's body simply appeared before him. Which, obviously, it would if it fell down. Or in his precise words... Yeah, we know what he said. We know what he said. And this makes perfect sense.
Because it was me to kick the door open.
If you look again at the floor plan... Consider what would happen if the door to the room was thrown open with force. That can't... The door struck the notice board, knocking it over, and making the victim's body visible.
Good gracious.
My client has told nothing but the truth. He has simply described what he saw. Okay, so it wasn't that the body was dropped in from the ceiling or that it was pulled up from below. It was just that it was there all the time. It was concealed by the notice board.
Order, Counsel, how has this not come to light before now?
After the incident, somebody must have righted the board and moved it into the position where the police, myself, and my colleagues saw when investigating the room.
Witness, what have you to say for yourself?
What? Me, my lord?
You and your fellows were there at the scene before anybody else. It goes without saying that you must know something about the position of the notice board.
The witness and the stand will testify again. You will each explain exactly what you did upon arriving at the scene of the crime.
Stop looking over your glasses at me. I get the message.
Alright, buddy. Fire away. What are you not telling us?
I don't know anything about that notice board. I just wiped my hand on it, that's all.
Yeah, don't look at me. I haven't got a clue about it. I was too busy with some second years at the time.
What second years? Okay, no, that's... If the game brought that up, we need details about it.
I don't know anything about anything. I'm just a bystander, me. Just a sign at the crossroads of life. It was the Reaper, I bet. He's got a face that screams bored.
Okay. What? That's your testimony, okay.
I can't see how this changes anything anyway. The detective still died with me when he heard the gunshot.
What if it wasn't a gunshot? What if it wasn't a gunshot? What if it was the fireworks? Which sounds like a gunshot.
So none of you can elaborate further.
Shaken about the crime they witnessed, and with only the light of a few candles and an oil lamp by which to see. We can't expect these witnesses to be able to give a more precise account of what happened.
That's right, yeah. It don't pay to expect too much.
It's man's endless quest for knowledge that's destroying the world. That's what I think.
Do you? Really? In any case, as the testimony shows, even if the notice board was moved by somebody following the incident, it makes no difference. When the gunshot rang out, the accused was the only person at the scene. Yeah, well, okay, well... Is no one gonna point out the fact that the gun was cold, so it couldn't have been... Okay. None of this wrangling over the board changes that simple fact.
Quite so, quite so. Does the defense still wish to cross-examine the...
Yes, obviously. Most certainly, my lord.
Very well. Then you may proceed, counsel.
Okay, once again, no blatant contradictions, but I guess we just gotta... I want more information out of you. No, go back, go back. I want more information out of you. When you say you were doing business with them, you mean you were selling them fireworks?
Yeah, what else? There's the priory school just around the corner, see? Those cheeky little so-and-sos have got a plan to blow their school to kingdom come. So I've been telling on them, letting the teachers know what they're up to.
Oh, you have?
Yeah, wouldn't want anyone to get hurt, so I let the school know the kids are playing with dodgy toys.
Okay. Well, I mean, I still think what she's doing is kind of morally not that great, because she's selling incredibly dangerous materials to children who don't necessarily have to be used. Like, that prevents them from doing something bad at school, yes, but they still have access to it, and like, that takes care of one possible thing they could do with it, but they can still go use those anywhere else, and you can't stop them, so it's good. Like, basically what she's doing is, like, she gets the money from the kids who buy the fireworks, and she prevents them from actually blowing up the school by telling the teachers, so that's good that she's doing that.
but it doesn't really solve the problem. So, I don't know.
Then, praise the Lord, teachers take all the fireworks off him. And then, praise the Lord again, the kids all come back to maybe buy more.
What? Okay, I don't know about that one. Surely that cycle breaks eventually. Because surely if you keep telling the teacher they have fireworks, surely eventually they're going to be like, wait, how do you know that? And also, you'd think the kid, like, I don't know how young the kid's supposed to be, but you'd think their default would be,
Well, it wasn't my fault. The mean lady stole me them. They scammed me. I gave them money for this. It was all a big scam.
you'd think they'd give her up, right? I feel like this scam can't work for that long. Maybe once, and that's it. What a racket.
Of course. And sometimes the teachers give me a little bonus thing for letting them know. It's a busy old life selling explosives.
Venus is a skillful goddess indeed.
Well, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing, really. I'm ever so good at it.
Oh, sandwich again? Excuse me. Is Sandwich just here as the eternal lie detector? Something wrong, Mr. Such a stupid name. Mr. Sandwich?
If what you said it was, could we just leave it at that? Would that be the end of it?
No. No. Did Miss Venus' statement just now bring something to mind, perhaps?
Philosophical thoughts. Deep philosophical thoughts. Let's say there was a great liar, and that great liar said without batting an eye, telling barefaced lies is kind of my thing. I'm never so good at it. Would those words of hers be a lie too? Or the truth? In which case she's not a liar.
Okay, if there's a chase, please cut to it. What the... I'm not entirely sure, to be honest. But it seems to me you're suggesting that Miss Venus has been lying, are you? Get to the point, please.
What are you on about, old man? Trying to cause trouble, are you? Keep on like that. And I'll wrap your whole body in firecrackers and set them off. That'll do some of the trouble about...
Okay, your new name is Female Sid. You're familiar with Sid from Toy Story? You're like if Sid was a woman.
You have a startlingly disturbing mind behind that sweet innocent face, young lady.
So, Miss Venus has lied in her testimony. Is that what you're saying, Mr. Sandwich?
Well, if it means I'll be burning in hellfire for the rest of my days, so be it. Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Can you elaborate, please, sir?
Old blabbermouth here headed for the room where the gunshots seemed to come from. But there was someone else who crept up the stairs behind him, too. That's right. That rotten liar over there.
Do you mean to say that you did in fact betake yourself to the scene of the crime after all?
What did I tell you, eh? I said I was good at telling barefaced lies, didn't I?
Yes, you mentioned it.
Well, that revelation rocked the whole courtroom, didn't it?
Who knew firecrackers packed such a punch?
So you did indeed visit the scene of the crime, did you, young lady? Good grief.
Well, now you come to mention it, I suppose perhaps I do clearly remember climbing the stairs to the room, yeah.
Either you clearly remember or you don't.
Well, I shall consider a fitting punishment for this perjurous act later. For the time being, you will immediately amend your testimony to reflect the truth.
Oh yes, my lord, of course.
Okay, this is a bit strange.
Maybe I did sneak along behind Gossip and Avalo peeking into the room where it all happened.
Okay, I need more. If you did that, then we need more. You make a habit of lying, do you, Miss Venus?
Well, I suppose so. I don't really know, to be fair. If you want my advice, though, I take everything I say with a big pinch of salt.
How is she still on the witness stand? Oh, but you did in fact go to the room where the victim was killed on the day in question, didn't you?
Oh, please. As if I would. I can't think of anything more terrifying.
The truth, please.
Well, alright, just a bit then. I mean, a girl my age is curious about stuff, you know?
Did you touch anything at the scene?
Oh, please! As if I would. I mean, there was a dead body on the floor.
The truth, please.
Alright, just a bit then.
This is insanity.
So I did keep the place to once over, but it was nothing to write home about.
I did. Right. Now, I hesitate to ask, but you didn't move the notice board by any chance, did you?
Oh, please! As if I would touch anything like that. Just a few bits of loose change all I had.
The truth, please.
Well, alright then. I thought there might be something worth having underneath it. So I blasted the flippin' thing. Sorry, flipped the blasted thing.
You're telling us that you did move that board?
I think that did slip out, didn't it?
You are... this is... Okay, I'm gonna have a set of choice words for this later. So did you find anything then? Something that you might have taken, perhaps? To sell?
Oh, please, I should be so lucky.
The truth, now!
I might have found this old pocket watch into the notice board, I suppose. But a bit of junk like this can't be worth much if you ask.
Huh? What? Gina's here? Wait, what? Wait, when did you get here? What? Gina?
Good young lady, may I remind you where you are?
That watch! The watch there! That was a present to Inspector Gregson from the yard from Big Casey's all 10 years ago! The Professor case, no doubt.
Wait, were you just hiding in here the whole time?
The boss used to wind it up every evening without fail when he was waiting for his girl to come at the pub.
I see.
I swiped it off and once the blimey was set, he gave me a rightful earful. Said he hadn't missed a day in the last 10 years, polishing and winding it. It meant the world to him, that watch did.
Possibly not the best thing to go diving for, then.
It's not all that, though. I took it to Jabs's that night to ask how much it was worth, but the old dealer wouldn't touch it. Wouldn't give me a penny for it. Said it wasn't working. Knocked about and worthless, he called it. Ah! I knew I should have lifted it.
That watch must be submitted as evidence at once.
Oh, please. Just as long as you promise to give it back to me when you're done.
No, never. You're never getting that again.
Not a chance. I'll split it for you if you try to get your government on again.
That's enough. Hand the watch to the bailiff forthwith.
Now, children, watch your manners.
Good lord. The glass appears to be broken.
More than likely, it shattered when the inspector was shot.
It doesn't tick anymore either. Which is why Jabs didn't want it. What a waste, eh?
Yes, indeed. It appears to have stopped at the hour of 5.
Exactly when the gunshot was heard, then.
Which supports the prosecution's claim, of course.
Okay, there's something tricky going on here. You know the drill. Always check everything. Make sure that there's nothing. Okay, I got nervous a second there. I pressed A and it didn't actually work. I was worried I wasn't actually going to be able to inspect it. Okay. Oh, there's a... Oh! The key! Oh, that's where the key goes. That's where the key goes. Oh, I guarantee... Clever game. Very clever. Okay. So, for those who didn't watch the last episode, we checked... Yesterday, we investigated this stupid little policeman doll voodoo figure thing that was really weird. It had a key extending out of it. And like, okay, what is this key for? It's not big enough to go in a normal keyhole. What is this for? And now here we see a little keyhole here, and that's what it's for. That's what it's for. It's going to open up and reveal something. What's it going to reveal? Why is this important? There's a tiny little keyhole here. Can you see? Oh, yes. It's probably for the windings to wind up the mechanism. Is it? Looks a little unusual, don't you think? Yes, you need just the right key to wind it, I imagine. Why I feel as though I've seen something. Something a bit like a key that's about the right size to fit in this hole. It'd be wonderful if we had the key. Let's check carefully for what we've already found. Yeah, I know what it is. We know what it is. We checked this. Did the game forget that I checked this yesterday? You unscrew the head. Yeah, I get it. You unscrew the head, and then that pops out the key. We already did this song and dance. I already investigated this yesterday. That's the whole reason I knew about it, is because yesterday, at the end of the investigation, I made a habit to actually investigate this. And then we found it. So, yeah. There we go, okay. I knew it, a perfect fit. And look! Inspector's watch has started going again. Ah, so it has obviously not just been not been wound up, that's all. What is it, Mr. Sato? Well, if the watch hasn't broken out, I feel like it could have profound implications. She's deep in thought now. I just better start thinking deeply too. Yeah, okay, hold on. So, let me, okay, there we go. We got this now. We've done this. Okay. So, that's been updated in the court record, having wound up and start ticking again. So, on that note, as predicted, it had very little bearing on the case. Yeah, that's where you're wrong, buddy. That's where you're wrong, kid. Okay, let me get back in there. Okay. So, it was you who said, can't see how this changed anything anyway. Does the detective still die when we heard that gunshot? Well, with new information, I'm not so sure about that anymore. Because if this watch still works, then the fact that it was broken at 5 o'clock means approximately diddly-do. In fact, it might even mean that someone could, I don't know, deliberately tamper with the time on the clock to kind of throw off the time of death or something like that. I'm afraid that's not necessarily the case.
Oh?
At the scene, we found this key to the winder of the inspector's pocket watch.
A key?
And having wound the pocket watch, we discovered that it in fact still works. You see, the watch didn't stop because it was broken at all. And that fact completely undermines one of the most fundamental premises on which this entire case has been built.
What?
Order. But counsel, the watch was stopped at almost exactly 5 o'clock.
Yeah, which is just when we heard that gunshot.
Yeah, but we just now proven that it's not broken, and that all you have to do is just turn the little key, and then you can wind it up again. Almost like you can manipulate the time or something like that, thus to throw off the time of death. The time that was showing on the watch says nothing about other than when it wound down. It's merely a coincidence that it happened to be at 5 o'clock. Well, coincidence in quotation marks.
Even if that's true, the 3 witnesses here all heard the gunshot at 5 o'clock. So that's obviously when this crime was committed.
Really? Do you need me to point out? Do you need me to point out to you what a potential other medium for communicating that noise could be? No, that doesn't hold.
Why not?
Recall what Inspector Lestrade said only moments ago. The victim was in the habit of winding his watch once a day in the evening. We can reasonably assume, therefore, that he wound the timepieces in the evening before he died as well.
Yes, that would be entirely reasonable.
But if that's the case, you wouldn't expect the watch bar to have completely wound down by 5 o'clock the following day.
Oh, well, how do you explain it then?
In summary, the evening before the day of the incident when the gunshot rang out in that room, the inspector was already unable to wind his watch.
You can't mean...
What would stop a man winding his watch if he's been in the habit of winding it every single evening for 10 years? The obvious answer is that he was already dead!
Order! Counsel, that is a most extraordinary claim.
Extraordinary isn't the word, it's absurd. You claim he was already dead the night before? Do you really think that Scotland Yard coroner would have overlooked something like that? Well, we've already proven your coroner's not exactly the most trustworthy of things, but you know...
On that subject, there is something rather surprising. There's actually an omission in the coroner's report. The time of death is not noted.
Ah, that's right!
Wait a minute. You forget that my legs went from under me when I kicked the door in.
What do you mean?
Like I said, I planted my hand in a dirty, great puddle of blood.
Yes. So the victim's blood hadn't dried, it was fresh.
He catches on fast, doesn't he?
But that blood could have been explained in any number of ways. It could have been put there afterwards. Some fresh blood could have been poured over the victim's body after he...
Does my learned friend think that... Oh, wow, Jesus, he's even taking out to Van Zeeks and calling me his learned friend. Think that fresh blood is available on every street corner? Ah!
Well, it needn't necessarily have been human blood, of course. We've been told previously that Scotland Yard has no way to identify blood as human.
The problem is currently being researched. At present, you are correct. It is beyond our abilities.
So then, a chicken's blood could have been used, for example.
It's certainly a possibility that it wasn't the inspector's blood at all.
Objection!
But the gunshot we heard was heard at 5 o'clock that afternoon. That's beyond question.
Is it though?
What?
Given that the time of death of the victim has already been called into question, it isn't beyond the realms of possibility that what these witnesses heard wasn't a gunshot at all.
Oh, please, what are you trying to say?
You must not know what we heard. It was a loud bang. Came from that there room. Now, you listen to me. Street seller's ears are his livelihood.
I don't doubt your ears, sir, but all you can state with certainty is that you heard a noise.
Eh?
Explain yourself then, counsel.
A noise that sounds like a gunshot could have been made with this firecracker.
Take that!
Something like this. The culprit could have set off one of these to fake a gunshot.
Good gracious, the very fireworks that are sold by the witness?
Now, hold on a minute. Are you saying I did it? My pretty little firecrackers only make a little pop anyway. See?
Not 100 of them together. The Venus special that you sold for 600 pennies sounds like this. As the court can now attest, it sounds very much like a gunshot, in fact.
Ah!
You're trying to suggest that somebody set one of those fireworks off at the scene? I'm suggesting that somebody knew the defendant was in the room at 5 that day and sought to implicate him by creating a sound like a gunshot for these peddlers on Fresno Street to hear. But even the accused himself testified that he saw no one else in the room at that time. Whether it was a gun or a firecracker, the only person present to cause that bang was Beric von Zeeks.
One whiff of a match and my firecrackers go pop. See? People like them.
Yeah, one whiff of a match. I wonder if there's anything in the room that might fill the role of a match. I wonder.
I fear for your fingers, young lady.
Recently, during my time here in Britain, I've learned of a very useful invention indeed. Something called a time bomb.
Good heavens, a bomb?
Yes, a device that allows you to blow up whatever you like, whenever you like.
Listen, Naruhodo, I worry that your unfortunate phrasing there may lead to yet another international incident.
Ah! No, wait, it's the whenever you like part that's important. A timed device? Yes, exactly, a timed device. Something of that nature could have been planted at the scene. A device that was able to produce the sound of a gunshot long after the culprit had left.
Your extravagant claim will have to be substantiated with evidence, counsel. What proof do you have to suggest in any way that a time device was deployed to create a gunshot?
I would point to the candelabrum. As the court has already discussed, the tip of one of the candles in this candelabrum has been blown off.
Indeed, because it was struck by the bullet, which was only passed to the victim.
Yeah, which I didn't believe from the outside because the fact that only one of them was affected and not the other ones is nonsense if they was shot at point blank range, so what makes a lot more sense is if an explosion did the damage because it was lit on fire by one of the candles. I don't think it's possible, my lord.
Not possible? Why?
Because of the scorching. There are gunpowder scorch marks clearly visible on the broken candle.
There are? Goodness, yes. But is it not the case that there was also scorching on the victim around the bullet entry wound?
That's right, there was. But as we heard earlier, scorching like that only occurs when the target is at very close range, a matter of centimeters from the gun.
Ah.
Which means that the scorching on the candle can't possibly be the result of a gunshot.
You're suggesting it came from the fireworks?
Can that be, eh?
The fact that there's such visible scorching on the candle suggests that the fireworks must have been right next to it when they exploded, or to put it another way, the candle and firecrackers were joined together. The culprit somehow attached the firecrackers at a point partway down the candle. After the killer had left the scene, the candle slowly burnt down along with the other two, until eventually it ignited the fuse of the firecrackers, generating a loud bang! And that is how these three witnesses came to believe that they heard a gunshot at 5 o'clock. And if you're wondering who might have caused this, I would look no further than the people who left their signature mark at the scene of the crime.
Well, what a plot. And this implies that the victim could have died earlier than we've been led to believe. The previous day, even.
Now, you just hold your horses. All this lot saw here was the victim going into the building, remember? I couldn't forget that flame-colored hair if I wanted to.
The person you saw entering the building wasn't the victim at all. Consider this.
Ah!
Obviously, anybody can wear a wig. So the person that these witnesses saw entering the building 15 minutes before the incident occurred could easily have been someone else, entirely wearing the red hairpiece.
Someone else? Do you mean to say...
It was the same person who contrived the firecracker trick. In other words, Inspector Gregson's killer!
Oh, very impressive, Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
Kazuma?
I'm really quite amazed you've come this far. But after all, wasn't I the one who told you that you had all the makings of a great defense lawyer? I also noted the lack of a time of death in this report. A stark omission. But as far as I'm concerned, this whole country's justice system leaves a lot to be desired. Order! Prosecutor Asogi, what on earth do you mean by that statement?
I think he made himself pretty clear. I hear that many of the leading members of Britain's judiciary are present to observe the trial today, so we cannot allow even the slightest doubt to be overlooked. The defense's assertion about the time of death based on the victim's stopwatch is just conjecture, but while the possibility exists that my learned friend may be correct, we have a duty to explore it.
Well, certainly I would agree with you.
And what immediately comes to mind is, of course, what was Inspector Gregson doing, and where did he go on the day before the incident? Do you know? The inspector always carried out his investigative work alone. His movements were treated as confidential within Scotland Yard.
Even within the yard?
However, considering the evidence that we've been presented with so far, I'd say it's fairly apparent what case the man was pursuing. Wouldn't you, my learned friend?
I do have a feeling what case he might have been investigating.
Yes, I agree. Surely. My lord, the defense believes it can explain to the court the case that he was investigating.
Very well, counsel. Present your arguments to the court.
What evidence is to suggest for the case being investigated by the inspector? I would say that it would be, probably we need to present the article, right? Because this doesn't, this is just, in the context of what he's investigating, this is just hair, but this is, like, actually representative of what in particular he might be looking into.
Take that!
I believe this red hairpiece points to the answer. We might assume that it was part of a disguise used to carry out an undercover investigation.
Surely not. Such a brightly colored hairpiece would only serve to make the inspector more noticeable.
Yes, that's quite true. It would definitely have made him stand out in a crowd. Except, that is, in a crowd of gentlemen from the Red-Headed League.
The Red-Headed League?
So, you'd already worked it out.
What on earth is all this about? Is there such an extraordinary league of gentlemen?
The Red-Headed League is currently under investigation for a grand deception.
A deception of what nature, counsel?
They've been targeting red-headed men across all of London and tricking them out of small sums of money. 2 men were arrested for the misdemeanor only yesterday, in fact. My lord, the defense calls for those 2 men to be summoned at once!
2 redheads?
Inspector Gregson clearly infiltrated the Red-Headed League using this hairpiece, so it's very likely that he had direct contact with these criminals. And it's quite possible that such contact led to more serious events.
I concur. To be cannot in good conscience leave this new avenue unexplored.
Well done, Mr. Naruhodo.
Well, it's another possible line of inquiry for us at least.
The prosecution will make immediate arrangements for the charged men to appear. Bring these 2 Red-Headed League conspirators before me, Prosecutor Osogi.
At once, my lord.
Very good. We will have a 30-minute recess. Court is adjourned.
To be continued. Alright, I'll be honest. Kind of underwhelming. And I'll go more in detail after the save screen jingle. So, part of it might be because my expectations were so ridiculously high. Because, like, think of the stakes. Gregson's the victim, Kazuma's the prosecutor, Van Ziek's the defendant. Astronomical stakes. And in Turnabout Goodbyes, because, like, I don't really feel like Van Zieks is in any trouble here. Because once we started talking about the case, like, the instant he said the barrel was cold, I'm like, oh, okay, so he was already dead. And they either fired a fake gunshot or used something to simulate the gunshot, and then surreptitiously slipped the body into the room to make him out to be the killer in order to fool the witnesses to make it seem like he was the person who did it. And then, like, seconds later, it's like, oh, there were firecrackers. Oh, there was a board blocking him. And then it's like, okay, so we know you didn't, like, there's never any really question here as to whether or not he did it. And we kind of knew it was going to be tied into the Red League anyway, so there wasn't... Because, like, with Turnabout Goodbyes, really it could have gone either way. It took almost the entire trial to actually convince the judge and everyone else that Edgeworth was innocent. Even convince you as the player that he was innocent, because it was a constant back and forth battle. You even got handed down a guilty verdict at one point in that case. Because it was just the odds were so stacked against him. Like, there was no way. Anyone looked at the case and like, yeah, he's it. He did it, obviously. Even when you found a possibility that it might not have been him at the end of the first case, that was immediately nullified. So it's like, the stakes, it was a constant tug-of-war battle. It's like, did he do it or did he not? So you never really knew, you always felt like he was in danger. Whereas here, it's like, within the first testimony, you're like, oh, so you definitely didn't do it then. And you're gonna say, it's Ace Attorney, you know your client didn't do it unless your name is, Matt on Guard or Magnus McGilded. I get that. But what I'm saying is, like, what your gut tells you by nature of, like, meta-knowledge of the story and what you can prove with evidence are 2 different things. We could have definitively been like, yeah, you definitely didn't do this based on evidence at the beginning of this case, whereas at the beginning of Turnabout Goodbyes, and throughout most of it,
if you go based on evidence, you can't really prove that he actually is innocent for a long time there because there's so much stacked against him. The circumstances make it almost impossible for it to have been anybody other than him. So I just kind of feel like it might, like, because those cases both set the stakes through the roof. But I feel like Turn Back Goodbyes did a better job of capitalizing on it, whereas this case just feels like it could be any other case kind of thing. And to be fair, it is still early game. It could change in the latter half. There could be some mind-blowing thing that I don't know about yet. We still don't know what's going on with Daily Vigil, so there's still, and also we don't really know the details of the Red-Headed League, so there is that. I just feel like the introductory is like, you could have hit the ground running a bit harder than you did. So, just kind of underwhelmed is all. We'll see how it goes. But that'll be it for now. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for next time. We'll catch you all tomorrow for some more of the Great Ace Attorney 2 Resolve. Goodbye.